When my daughter was in Forest Park Middle School years ago, back in 2003, her guidance counselor was a local nun named Sister Joyce Weiss. And she knew that I was working in a garage during the day, so she would bring me some beat-up bikes to repair for her to give to her lower-income students that she had there. So that's where all the inspiration for this actually started.
Hey, there you are. Hey. Why don't you just jump right into it?
What do you think?
You guys got picked to come out here for a reason. Let me see if I can see everybody out here. Some of your parents are out here, and some of your family members. And you guys are saying, what is going on?
All right, guys, my name is Bob Charland, and I run an organization called Thru Youth. And what we do is we donate bikes to good kids throughout Chicopee, Springfield, Holyoke, and we've even been out to Worcester. You guys were chosen from your teachers and your staff for your good behavior. So with the help of Community Bank, we were able to go out and buy every one of you all brand new bicycles. AAA of Pioneer Valley is donating helmets. We have AMR ambulance service that's going to give you all first aid kits. You're all getting water bottles and locks for your bikes. And this is because you guys are some of the best kids here. Woo!
Well, it had a minor stroke in 2011, and at that point they had found what they call an arachnoid cyst in my left cerebellum. And then a few years after that, I started having tremors in my hands. My speech was going off. My motor functions weren't what they should be. And at the time, I was a bouncer and a bodyguard at night. So it got more MRIs they did. They found what they call atrophy in my brain. They found all these spots where the concussions had been and had left permanent damage. It was just, irreplaceable, it wasn't going to change. And I applied for a program in Vermont called Death with Dignity. Vermont's one of 5 states that allows you to have doctor-assisted suicide. So I applied for that program because in my mind I knew I was going to keep deteriorating and I didn't want to become a burden on my family. And it was an easy decision for me to do that. I mean, I'm a very independent person. I've always been able to take care of myself since I was young, but the idea of somebody else having to take care of me because my brain was failing wasn't acceptable to me. And while I was out there, a counselor from Springfield called, a guidance counselor, and asked if I would rebuild some bikes for her. And it just sparked something in me to come back. So I restored some 1970s Radio Flyer tricycles, and she knew that I was sick. She knew what I was going through, and I decided that this was my calling. She called a couple of news stations to come out to see these bikes I had restored for her. So instead of me going to Walmart for $25, $30 and buying a couple new ones, I repainted them, re-chromed them, and made them look brand new. And that's when everything started with this. The second school we donated to was called Lawrence School in Holyoke. And when they reached out to me before we were a nonprofit, they said they wanted us to come and donate. They had seen what we'd done for a couple other schools and other organizations. And they told us that we were donating to 45 kids that lived in homeless shelters at that school. So when we got out there to donate the bikes, the kids weren't in the auditorium. We were setting up the bikes, setting up our helmets, everything else. We had our officers with us. So I looked at a custodian and I said, "Where's all the kids?" And she says, "They're upstairs in the cafeteria eating dinner with their parents." They explained to me that these kids have breakfast, lunch, and dinner at that school because of the fact that they live in homeless shelters. So when these kids came down and got their bikes, it was mind-blowing for us because my team had just gone out to dinner. We were full, we were happy, but now comes down all these kids that live in a homeless shelter and are, having 3 meals a day at a school. So when we were leaving that school after we donated these bikes, these kids were riding their bikes back to the homeless shelter where we're all driving up on the highway, but they were laughing and smiling at us and waving. And that school made us decide to become a nonprofit organization. We said at that school that we're going to continue doing this. We're going to go full scale with this. So we applied for our nonprofit status and we got it in record time. In 7 days, we were approved to be a nonprofit from the state. And then we had my AAA rep, a guy named Jeremiah Casio. He came to me one day and he goes, you know what, AAA would really like to support you in this project. So he says, this is what we're going to do. We're going to buy you a bunch of bike stands. So he bought me bike stands, and then he saw that we were buying our own helmets. And he says, tell you what, let me talk to the higher ups at AAA. So we did, and AAA is our national sponsor for helmets. So throughout Western Mass, any bike that goes out gets a helmet donated from AAA. If I'm in Connecticut, the Connecticut AAA handles it. And then we have sponsors for bike locks. Every bike gets a bike lock, and those are donated from an organization called the Beavers of Western Mass. They're kind of like an Elks Club or a Moose Lodge. They're a French-Canadian businessmen's organization. Really nice guys. So they've donated probably over 1,000 locks already in 2 years' time. And then I have doctors' offices that donate water bottles for us. And then AMR ambulance service comes to every single school with us. And before the kids get the bikes, they teach them a little first aid, and they give them these first aid kits that attach to their handlebars.
So I met Bob. As you know, I work for AAA, and so I met Bob because I'm in charge of approved auto repair for AAA. And the repair shop that Bob's a mechanic at is actually AAA approved. And so we caught wind of what was going on. And I'd seen Bob a few times in the past, but I never formally met him. So when we caught wind of when the first story broke in April of last year of what was going on, AAA stepped up and bought about 5 bike racks for Bob. So I went to deliver the bikes in a tow truck, and I actually got to meet Bob one-on-one. And we got to talking a little bit, and he told me what his mission was and kind of what he wanted to do. And something about it, I don't know, sometimes in life you just kind of meet someone that you just, you vibe right off the back. And me and Bob just kind of got to talking, and I told him, I says, I'd love to come by one night, help you build a few bikes. I stopped by about a week later. It was him and another guy, Albert, that were working on bikes. It was kind of just a 2-man team in the beginning. And I just started volunteering, and then the more I talked with Bob, and the more we just got to know each other, it just, the relationship just grew and grew and grew. It was pretty amazing. They say some people you meet in life, you're kind of destined to meet them, and I feel like that was the case with me and Bob. We were destined to meet each other.
I have roughly 15 volunteers, that's about it. And everybody has jobs, so it's tough. We try to get together every Tuesday night to build the bikes or strip bikes. Like certain of my teammates will just strip bikes. We'll have a pile of bikes. We say strip down the reflectors, the pedals, the kickstands, anything that's good, put them in the bins. Other people will strip down the bikes and paint the frames. We have some older ladies that are retired that like to come down and just clean the bikes for us. So we don't have a huge volunteer base. We really don't. It's just a few of us. But it's become, some of us didn't know each other at all. There was 2 of us that started this.
We all get together at least once a week, and the way everyone kind of gets along, and it's almost like a family, What we'll do is there's some weeks we'll all buy pizza, and we'll just go down and everyone will eat pizza. There's other weeks, my mom will cook some food, or Joanne will bring in food, or one of the volunteers, Steve, will bring food in. And it's kind of a family thing. We've gotten it now to a science where, we know who's good at fixing the bikes, we know who's good at cleaning the bikes, we know who's good at taking the bikes apart. And everyone's kind of found their niche within the organization, and it's kind of like a family function. We get together, and it's a lot of laughs and smiles, and I believe it's something that keeps Bob going. It's for him to look forward to bike nights and the laughs and everybody coming together, and to see us all sitting around talking with each other. It's a very good time. It's a really good time. AAA actually gives me the ability to take a flatbed with me. And what I'll do is we'll meet up at Lindale's at the the garage, and we'll actually take some of the bike racks that AAA originally purchased for Bob, and we'll strap them down on the back of the tow truck, and then we'll take the rest. We'll take the bikes, put them in the bike racks, and strap them down.
think at this point it's been about 2 years. So it started right before Easter of the last year. So yeah, we're going on about 2 years now. We've done 15 schools between Chicopee, Holyoke, Springfield. We've been out to Worcester. And then the last one was the poorest school in Hartford, Connecticut called MD Fox.
So about a year and a half ago, I had saw in the news and through social media about a man, Bob the Bike Man, who was redoing bikes and donating them to inner city kids, less fortunate cities, school systems. And being a teacher myself and working in the schools, I decided to contact him and get involved. A friend of mine that works in the Holyoke school system is a personal friend of his. So she set up a time to meet Bob at breakfast on a Sunday. And he kind of walked me through the process and gave me the history and the background about how he got involved in just fixing a simple bike here and there for schools that his daughter attended. And then it just kind of evolved after he became terminally ill. Through that, he gave me the process of going online to Pedal Thru Youth and applying through the application process, which I did for a school in Hartford, Connecticut, MD Fox Elementary School, which is an inner city school, neighborhood school that has the same socioeconomic background as the Springfield schools and the Holyoke schools in which he had serviced. When I applied to have Pedal Thru Youth come to the school with the bikes, I applied in September of 2017, and we weren't able to set a date until October of 2018. So it took a year for it to come to fruition because of the amount of requests that he is getting from school systems.
I wanted to bring law enforcement closer to this program. Now, in the beginning, they were just giving us an escort to the schools, and it was nice. You know, the kids could see all the flashing lights, you could see all different uniforms. But I know the image of law enforcement nowadays is very, very poor. And we target low-income communities with this program. And in the low-income communities, the kids see the worst in law enforcement. They don't see the positive side of what we do. So I decided that I would start bringing the officers into the schools, and I would bring more officers. So we have Connecticut State Police, Mass State Police, Sheriff's Department, Springfield, Chicopee, and Holyoke Police go to every single school that we donate to, as well as AMR ambulance service. So now these kids that have a low opinion of officers or afraid of officers, they see all these different officers coming in, wheeling in bikes to them, fitting them with a helmet, and giving them something instead of taking something away from them. So to me, at this young age, this could be the most positive aspect that these kids ever see of a law enforcement officer, and it may be a lasting one, a lasting impression for them.
When I was stationed at Springfield, the State Police Barracks in Springfield, my lieutenant approached me and asked if I would like to be involved in a community group that helps low-income children, and I said absolutely, that's something I've always wanted to do. I went and I met Bob, and Bob's drive and smile and love for his organization is just infectious. You can't help but give 110% after you meet Bob.
The day that we're donating the bikes to the school, we have our caravan gets together. And when we've gone out of state, it's amazing because the highways get blocked off for us to go down. So we usually have 5 trucks full of the bikes. We have a AAA tow truck with us. AMR ambulance service has one of their buses, they would call it. I have Mass State Police, Connecticut State Police, Chicopee, Holyoke, Springfield PD, and other officers from my department. And we all get in a convoy, and the lights go on. Once we leave a shop called Lindale Garage in Springfield, the lights go on, the sirens go on, and we get an escort all the way to the school. It doesn't matter if it's in another state, we get escorted to the school. So the last school we did out in Hartford, we went from Springfield all the way to Hartford with our lights and sirens on. People were pulling over, and it's amazing for these kids to see us all pulling in to deliver the bikes to the school.
So when I brought this back to my school, we kind of tied it into PBIS, which is a preventative behavioral system where kids that are caught doing the right thing or are doing the right thing, and when they're not doing the right thing, have tools to kind of fix their behaviors and fix up strategies. So we used it as a behavioral tool for Student of the Month for the month of September, which was returning back to school. And when I brought it to the staff and to the families, they were amazed that how can this guy be willing to donate all of these bikes with his team to schools? And I kind of explained to both families and the staff that I work with that it was Bob who came up with this great idea, but then he has a team of Pedal Thru Youth volunteers, and he works collaboratively with the Hampden County Sheriff's Department. He involved the Connecticut State Police, the first responders, Holyoke Police, Chicopee Police, Springfield Police. And it really was about not only donating bikes to children to get them out in an active, healthy lifestyle, but also to bring the community and first responders and the police enforcement together with the school community and showing families that we are here as one unit, and together what we can build is unbelievable. So the response from families and teachers was just unbelievable. And it was an amazing event.
You want to make sure that you have the proper protective equipment. So you want to make sure you have your knee guards, your shin guards, and also your helmet. All right? When you start off riding a bike, you want to make sure that the bike is the right size. So, for example, this bike's a little too small for me, but if someone like your size, you sit on this bike, and if you're on your tippy toes or your feet are not able to touch the ground, that means the bike is too big for you.
Nice to meet you.
What's that? I don't know, but that's your bike line.
Okay.
Guys, make sure you shake hands. Shake hands.
Excited? Super friends. Thank you. You're welcome.
I know it was going to be exciting.
Bob is on the Sheriff's Department, and he brings local and state law enforcement into his organization because he believes that these students that are low income that receive the bikes may not view law enforcement in a positive way. He would like to have their first introduction with law enforcement to be a positive one, for us to be giving them bikes, and that would build on their community relationships. So I think it's a great way to do some community policing and get out into the community and help the children.
We have so many kids that send us cards and letters and posters in the mail and little gifts. We've gotten little gifts from people. And for me, almost every single school that we go to, they make me some kind of sign or a banner. When we did one of the schools in Holyoke, all the kids that got bikes used finger paints and put their hands on a board, and then they had it framed for us. And it's simple things like that that mean so much more than all the media coverage, than somebody coming up and shaking my hand. These are little kids that are struggling in life, whatever their struggle is. And now they're taking the time and putting their handprints all over this board with finger paint and giving it to us. And it's a great show of appreciation.
Coming from, being a kid raised in Springfield, single mom, 7 kids, I know what it's like to not have a bike as a kid. And, I know what it's like to kind of struggle as a kid. And when I was a kid, you never looked at a cop and you really thought the cops were the greatest people in the world, but we didn't necessarily hate them. And I feel like as the times grew, people really got to hate police. And doing this organization and working with who we work with and seeing who we see, it's just gave me, a better feeling about the law enforcement in general. I've met a lot of really great people through here. They do a lot of really nice things. And I'm just honored, Bob's one of a kind. To meet someone who actually knows that they're gonna die sooner than later, and they're willing to pretty much give their all to something that just gives back to other people. He doesn't want anything in return. Bob's not looking for an easy ticket out. Bob's not looking for someone to pay a salary. All he wants to do is make kids smile. And that is, to meet someone who's on their way out, who knows this situation's going on and they still want to continue to help people, it's admirable, and it gives me a reason to get up and keep going because, if I think life's getting down or I have a stressful day and, I can pick up the phone, call Bob, we have a 2-hour conversation, and it really puts stuff into perspective for me as well. It's a great thing. I couldn't imagine life now without Pedal Thru Youth or doing what, not doing what we're doing now.